Hi, everybody. Is anybody there? Hello?
Hi, Angie. I'm here, Bill Folletti.
Okay, hi, Bill. We're on time, I think.
Yeah, I got 1 minute of.
Can you hear us? This, so that's the worst, it's just such a mess. I just wrote, can you hear us? Angie, let's see, how do we get her?
I'll log into it and see if it's working audio wise,
Okay.
and then we can go from there.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Recording.
Angie, can you hear me?
On speaker. Yeah, when you get an echo like that, it means
The audio is
two people
working.
have their audio up.
Okay, I'm gonna log off the meeting just so that we don't, but we know the audio is working, so it's not on our end. She may have it turned down.
Yeah, I can give her a call.
Give her a call and see if she can tell her if her speaker's off or something.
For what it's worth, folks, I can hear you.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, thanks, Bill.
I'll hear that. If she doesn't have her phone in front of her, she might not realize that. All failed. Angie, can you turn up your volume?
You can't hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Try talking again.
I was having a hard time. You.
Okay, I think we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Good. So what do I want to do?
You don't need to do anything other than just listen, okay? You good? All right.
I think we got it.
And then I just want to see who else is on, because I know Bill, so just Bill and Angie then, okay?
Okay.
All right, so like I said, the Sherry Much's advice was to choose an acting chair by consensus. So I'm willing to do that. I'm not there up to anybody else.
So your question to them would be, is everybody fine with that?
Is everybody okay?
Yes,
I'm
make
okay
sure
with
that
it.
you
You
are.
already sent out all the stuff and did all the hard work, so you win.
Okay. All right, so we'll officially call the meeting to order then. And it's 7:04. And I'm going to get my papers over here. Bear with me one second. Okay, so roll call. We'll start with me, Christina Davis, present. Pam Summers,
Present.
Judy Austin, present. Paul Varga,
Here,
Angie DeSanto.
I'm here.
Great. Okay, so next up, we have election of officers for the Board of Finance, chairman and clerk. Do we have any nominations for the chairman position?
I nominate Christina Davis.
Okay,
I second the motion.
okay. Any other nominations?
so can we have a discussion?
Sure.
The only issue I have is that we're in a kind of a strange pickle, as we know from
Could you please speak up a
from this
little?
email we got from Sherry about we're kind of up against the deadline. But we have basically a full agenda tonight and we're only a 5-member board because of I guess for lack of a better term, a mistake in elections. I don't know how to put that. So I'm not opposed so much to doing the agenda, but I think missing that person is not fair to the board, the town, or the new, possibly new member, I guess. Does that make sense? I'm just voicing a concern. I'm just saying that I just think that it could have been done differently or should be done differently, but now we're backed up against the timeline that we don't have a choice. And so I personally, I guess I'm not happy with that. How's
Okay.
that?
That's reasonable to voice that concern.
So that's all.
So we were calling for nominations for chairman. Were there any other nominations this time? Not hearing any, we can move to having a vote for that.
Actually, you move to have nominations closed.
We'll make a motion to close nominations.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, nominations are closed. And now we can have a vote on me, Christina Davis, as chairman.
Actually, the person can cast one vote.
Right, so we'll just do a voice vote if everybody's comfortable with that. So those in favor of Christina Davis, me as chairman, say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that's me.
So
And
that's 3 votes?
those opposed can say no.
Abstain. Are those abstentions?
Any abstentions?
I abstain.
I'm gonna abstain.
So Paul and Judy abstained. Christina Davis, Pam Summers, and Angie DeSanto voted in the affirmative. Okay. Moving on, we have to elect a clerk. I'm going to open the nominations for that. And I nominate Pam Summers for clerk.
Second.
Angie DeSanto seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, not hearing any discussion, I will make a motion to close nominations for clerk.
I'll
Somebody
second that.
Second that, thank you, Paul. And now we can vote on Pam Summers as
On
clerk.
closing nomination. Did you?
Sorry.
we vote on that?
Can we vote to close nominations? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so that was on closing the nominations for clerk. Now we are going to have a voice vote on Pam Summers as clerk. All those in favor say aye. Christina Davis, aye.
Aye.
Pam
Hi,
Summers.
Angie DeSanto.
Angie said aye.
I will abstain again.
Okay, Judy and Paul abstain. Any no's? No, okay. All right, so we have a chairman and a clerk. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is communications. So that's a little dodgy because I wasn't officially chairman, so and nor have I had access to the Board of Finance email. So I can't speak to maybe what ended up in that email. We did get an email from the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission about the input they're seeking regarding the zoning, rezoning, or look that they're taking at the piece of land up by exit 72. I think given the timeline and his timeframe for feedback, if there are members of this board that have feedback on that, I would encourage you to seek out the online survey that's been made available to provide your feedback. I've also received some communications about the annual report, but we'll get into that in the agenda. And I think that's it for communications. Next up, we've got approved minutes of regular meeting Thursday, October 26th. Also, I should note that Sherry Susie joined the meeting. Valerie, so you might want to put that in the.
Sherry?
Sherry
Sherry Susie,
Susie,
yeah.
she's our treasurer. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 26th meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 26th meeting.
Is there a second? You can
I'll
check.
second it.
Thank you.
I didn't know if I
If you
could
were
since
not
I wasn't
present-
here.
If you were
Right.
not a member of the board or present,
Right,
you could not do that.
Okay,
That's what I
will,
thought.
I'll second the motion.
okay.
Any discussion on the minutes?
I haven't listened to the tape of that meeting, but the whole year-end transfer section. I don't know if that was transcribed correctly, because maybe Sherry can, you don't have the minutes, do you, Sherry? Yeah. So that my only concern is that I don't know that it was actually, it's like, and the good thing is it's out on video, people wanna watch it, but if you read it, it kind of sounds like we moved all those. And Sherry, again, maybe you can correct me, but the way it looks is that when we moved the funds around, we took it out of the contingency fund, and is that what we did?
Yes,
Okay. So
that's
we
what
took-
I did.
Okay.
That's what I presented. That's what I presented to you, as the board. Basically, the lines that you see, I believe, to the left of the paperwork or the Excel, that I handed out or that you received would show those are the budget lines that were overspent.
Right,
Just in those departments, so that what you typically do is do year-end transfers from other lines to, make them so they are zero, or, to cover the overage. And so the easiest place was contingency in mind, because it's a one journal, from one account. It's
Right.
much easier. Because I
So
know
it's
there was
really- The
discussion.
way it reads on the minutes is kind of, I thought it didn't really reflect what we did, because it made it sound like we had a whole separate fund, and that's not the case. There
That
was
is
a
not.
contingency line item in last year's budget.
That is correct.
So that's where the confusion was, and that's why I was, again, I don't necessarily know that there's a way to reflect it, but the audio or the video recording is gonna reflect that, because we had that discussion. Where the print, it makes it look like it's a separate account, and it's really not. It was
It's
just
not.
a line item in the 22-23 budget.
So we
That
could
is
change it to, she uses the contingency fund line item. Just
Instead
add
of
the phrase line
budget.
item.
Instead of fund.
Budgeted line item, yeah, it's not a fund, it's a,
Sorry, say that again, Sherry, what would you change it to?
I would say contingency budget line, not because it's not a separate fund. It's part of your general fund budget.
Okay, and then there's one other spot where we say contingency fund, and we'll just change that to contingency budget line.
If I
Yes.
may ask a question?
Yeah.
About procedures about moving monies, are you moving monies or are you taking money from that account? And my question is actually to Bill Coletti. And Bill, when they go to adjust a department, that is done one time a year, isn't that correct? At the end of the year,
That's-
just prior to the audit?
Generally, that's the rule, Catherine.
That is a rule. Just want to make sure that any department, if you go to adjust any of them, you can never adjust anything again.
Okay. So
Well,
just,
I believe you could adjust it again, but you'd have to get special permission by the Board of Finance to do that.
Mhm. That would be correct.
but that's what we were doing, was the year-end transfer,
Right.
that's what that was.
yeah,
The confusion was, again, that when I read contingency fund, I was like, it wasn't a fund, it was a line item in that budget, and I want to make sure that people understand that, that's all.
Yeah.
So,
Part of the things that historically the Board of Selectmen through the first selectman has tried to do is that if it was obvious to us that we had a line item that was in jeopardy of going over, we'd give you a heads up to that prior, but there'd be no formal exchange of monies until the Board of Finance, it was brought to them by either first selectman or the treasurer, and then it was approved.
Mhm.
And I believe
just-
that's what you, at your last meeting.
so that was the thing in the minutes of the.
so just to clarify for Valerie, so she knows what we're asking. So on the minutes, Valerie, under E, year-end transfers. Third line down, it says contingency fund. We want that to say contingency budget line. Then same section, 1, 2, 3, 4, paragraph 5 says, Mr. Varga explained that the contingency budget line
Okay.
as opposed to fund. And then the motion, we have fund in the motion as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't say that in the audio, but I haven't listened to it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, let's make those two changes as we noted. And then I have two other small typos.
Yeah, I see the established didn't have its E.
Okay.
That's-
And then under number 5, approved minutes, it just should say 2 abstentions, plural with an S.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. So I think we had a motion and a second on these. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of passing the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye. All those not in favor? And any abstentions?
Me,
was
I wasn't there.
Pam and Angela or Angie abstained. Okay. Moving on to number 7, new business, we have select men's updates. So Catherine, do you have anything to share?
Okay, I have a couple of items. One is, I'm in contact, or we're in contact upstairs with the financial advisor and bond counsel to secure funding prior to bonding for the school roof. This is for architectural and any construction-oriented bill incurred related to the pre-construction phase, because we haven't gone for the $5 million yet. So we're going through an exercise of making sure that we understand that process, and then so we can pay the architect whose bill is due at the end of the month. Also, I need a I need a Board of Finance member to be on the Capital Improvement Committee. I'm expect to send the charge for the committee and set the first meeting to occur in the next 2 weeks. So I need a volunteer from your board, or a member from your board. So you may want to add that to your agenda, since it's a regular meeting, which would be to appoint a Board of Finance member to the Capital Improvement Committee,
Okay,
I'll make,
or recommend, I should say.
I can make a motion to add that as item H under new business. Discussion of a capital, appointee to the Capital Improvements Committee.
okay.
Second. Who seconded it? You have to speak up.
Judy.
because the-
I can't hear you either. I don't hear you.
Who, Judy?
Judy said.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions?
I'd also like to, as a final thing, inquire about the status of the annual audit, which is due by the end of the year. And there's a Board of Finance responsibility. So do you happen to know what stage it's at? I think the school had provided everything they needed to. I don't know who is in contact with the auditor.
Sherry, do you wanna chime in?
Yes, I know there are, they've been working diligently on the audit. I know, last I heard, I know Dina has, over at the school, has been in contact with them quite a bit, and they are almost finished. So I know there was an email that went, I saw yesterday, I believe, trying to get a statement from the pension from Schwab. So Laura has been working on that, sending emails back and forth in regards to that. The other thing was the fixed assets. They're working on that because I know the system that we have is that the town has is an antiquated system. And it's the one that's on the selectmen's computer. So basically we have to kind of ask them to vacate their computer to access any records. And I know some of the data that was sent to the auditors had to be sent again because apparently it didn't calculate depreciation correctly. And so Tracy has been working on that. And so that's where we're at. And I know on the town side and on the school, I think they were just finalizing some of the grants on that side. So that's kind of where we're at.
So 2 things for that. Did I hear you say that there's something on the first selectman's computer? that
Yes, there's
has
an
to be
old soft-
accessed?
I'm sorry, Catherine?
That has to be accessed?
Yes, there's an old software program that has been on the selectman's computer that even, before Bill's time, from what I understand, if I hear history correct from Chris. And it's something that can't be removed because if we remove it, we're going to lose the data that we've been told from IT. So that is some of the training that I did a couple of weeks ago about migrating all of that information into the new software that the town purchased. But that is going to take some time because it's a big endeavor into going forward, moving everything over. So I sent some Excel spreadsheets that I had pulled off of the computer, oh God, maybe 2 months ago. And so Tracy is working with that. Tracy from the audit firm is working with that.
Bill, were you aware there was old software that that is holding this information on a selectman's computer?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up a little. Would you repeat that, Catherine?
Apparently there's old software that is only located on the selectman's computer that is holding information that's needed to support the audit. Are you aware of that?
Ralph had that set up originally, and he was the only one that had access to that.
Wow, I
given
don't remember you working with it either.
I'd given access to Chris, and I know that when the auditors were on site doing their last meeting there, they had a group of them, and we gave them access to it. And as far as I know, that software is in place and is in the process of being transitioned right now.
All right.
I
I'll
didn't
follow
get a
up on
final
that.
report.
So the other part of this is in terms of the audit is typically what happens is the auditors produce their draft. They do a first draft, they review it at the audit firm, and then they produce, clean it up, and then they present it to the Board of Finance. And you have the opportunity to ask questions. You should be getting it in advance. All of you should be getting your own copy, hard copy. But before the end of the year, it's expected that the Board of Finance will approve it because the auditor needs to do their filings by the end of the year. And they do filings in a number of places. So just a bit of a heads up to let you know that time is getting a little bit short. We're getting that done in time. Ideally, they would have been providing the audit at the end of November.
Right.
Okay, and that's all I have for tonight. We've
Okay.
got a lot of other things to deal with.
Yes, we do.
Christine, to add to that, the last conversation that I had with Tracy, and I know she's had subsequent conversations with Sherry, was that although they may have been a week or so late, they felt they were going to meet the requirement before the end of the year, and they were putting together a briefing paper before that for the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance to review.
Well, I think the issue is if they have to present this before the end of the year, we don't have any more regular meetings on the schedule for the Board of Finance. And we're gonna just run into the Christmas holiday. So, I mean, we can do our best if we have to call a special meeting, but I think we are in a time crunch.
It's unwise to miss the deadline.
Excuse me,
Yes, Valerie.
this Tracy, could you please give me her full name? She works for the auditing firm?
I'm at a
I mean,
loss.
you mentioned somebody named Tracy, I mean,
I don't know who
Yes.
it is, but we'll get you the name.
okay.
I'll get you the name. I'm drawing a blank.
And I don't think, I'm hoping that we have a copy of the audit contract upstairs somewhere. I haven't seen it.
Christina, can I
We could
just
have the names of principals.
make a
Yeah.
point?
Well, I could go online and find it. I just
That's
wondered
okay.
if someone knows. I can look it up myself.
Go ahead, Paul.
In previous years, the audit presentation has been in January,
Oh, I feel like last year was November.
January 12th or 19th, I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So they missed the deadline last year?
No, we didn't miss it.
I can give you, Christine, if I can speak. Usually what happens is that, yes, with audits, they're supposed to be filed by the end of the year. What happens, you can file extensions with OPM. So that can happen. And basically OPM will, give you the extension or not based on certain criteria, if they haven't met certain things or are waiting for data to come back and forth. So yes, an audit can go into January or February. That's not unusual.
It is unusual for Ashford.
Oh, okay.
And what it does do is they don't like to see that repeated.
Mhm.
They expect that to be an unusual circumstance, not something that happens a couple of years in a row, because it kind of puts their eyes on you a little more.
Okay, well, we can all just do the best that we can do and keep moving forward. So the next item on the agenda is annual report update. So I can provide an update on that, even though, previous members know Jesse Burnham was responsible for the annual report. He's not on the board anymore, but he's been kind enough to continue, helping shepherd it along. We are still waiting for the dedication and then the reports from the Office of Selectmen, the transfer station, the Department of Public Works, and the fire marshal. So what I plan to do now that I'm officially chairman is I'll reach out to those groups and see what the holdup is, and we'll get it figured out.
So if I may ask Bill, because
Just
I,
1 second, Catherine, go ahead, Judy.
Who were they again? Transfer?
Office of Selectmen, Transfer Station, Department of Public Works, and Fire Marshal.
Thank you.
Bill, was any work done on the selectmen's contribution to the annual report?
Yes, and Chris should have a draft for you. There were a couple of holes in it, but for the most part, it was done. I did not see anything from her on the transfer station. Public Works, I was told, was submitted, so that's something else you're gonna have to check on.
Okay, yeah, this was from Amanda Robinson, who is the one who kind of coordinates it, on behalf of the Board of Finance. She gave this info to me this morning, so perhaps the Department of Public Works one got lost in the shuffle. So that's where we are with the annual report. Moving on to item, oh, this is not alphabetized correctly. My apologies. We skipped over C, we're going right for D, discussion and possible approval of 2024 meeting dates. So that was shared in an email. It's basically the same schedule from 2023, just updated to 2024. We front loaded regular meetings, so that we don't have to call special meetings. That's why they're more frequent than just the second and fourth Thursday. Oh, how many? So well, I guess, can we have a motion to accept these meeting dates? And then we can discuss once we have a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the dates.
Pam made a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, any discussion on these meeting dates? Okay,
Just real quick,
go ahead.
in May, you went back to the second and fourth Thursday. Did you want to put one in on the 16th, just in case? We normally have a budget vote by them, but you never know.
Well, I mean, we could call a
You could
special.
call a
meeting.
special meeting too.
Yeah. Let me
That's
just
the
look.
only one. The rest of them, I mean, as you said, it's all front loaded, which makes perfect sense. But May was.
Yeah, the May 7th is the projected referendum date.
Right.
May 6th,
Uh,
double check.
I have May 7th on mine.
So Tuesday,
Let's see.
No, it's a Monday.
May 6th is Tuesday, and Monday?
6th is well, it says, hang on, I'll tell you now. May 6th is a Monday.
Okay.
Okay, so can we vote on these meeting dates? All those in favor say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, great. Meeting dates are set. Now we need to look at the next item on the agenda, which is the town budget calendar. This is primarily put together from Chris, is it Chris Abacoff? Is that what she prefers? Or Christine? Christine. So she put a draft together. I also didn't know she did that, so I put my own draft together, and then it turned out that they pretty much matched, so, but now I am curious to look at that, referendum date. But you know what, let's have a motion and a second if we could to, on accepting this, and then we can discuss.
Motion to accept.
Thank you. A second?
Was that you?
That was Judy.
Oh, that was Judy. I'll second it.
Pam seconded. Okay. So I'm just looking at the date for the budget referendum. It says Tuesday, May 7th. You have reason to believe, Catherine, that's not correct?
The one I have.
It's Tuesday is May 7th. I mean, it's May 7th is a Tuesday,
Yeah.
first Tuesday in the month, then
But-
that's it.
The one I have says Monday, May 6th. Oh, I'm sorry, that's region 19.
Right.
Tuesday, May 7th, okay.
Okay, so we're
My
good with
bad.
that date. That makes sense.
I have, one problem with this calendar.
Okay.
Nowhere on the top does it say when the department budgets are due.
I don't think in the past that we've done that, or have we?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
Because we have to have a date that the departments,
We had a January 13th
Right.
last year for deadline for budget
Right.
request submittal.
so,
and that may have been something Judy, I'm gonna say instigated. Sorry, I apologize. And whatever the word is I'm looking for, you know what I'm trying to say.
We were trying to do it so that we
Right.
wouldn't be bogged down like
Right, because
at the
in
last
the,
minute.
yeah, there was a time in the past where departments were like, well, we didn't know the budget was due, so things would just kind of float in, and then the board of selectmen scramble in to get their stuff done, and people don't know, so we had a date, and that was, you have it right.
Actually, I think on a scramble last year had more to do with getting the information put in the budget.
Well, that was last year, but I'm saying, but the departments had a deadline to get their budgets to you, or to
Absolutely.
right,
And this year, what we'll be doing is I will be reviewing all of those department budgets with the department heads before they submit them.
okay.
that would be helpful.
Before we submit them? Sure.
Before they submit them and it gets pulled together to put in front of the board of selectmen.
Distributed tonight or have it to region 19.
So are you suggesting, Paul, that we add a line that's maybe, let's say, Friday, January 12th?
Yes, that
Departmental
department
budgets
do.
and who do they do to?
Deadline, it's just.
Just says deadline for submittal. They go to the board of selectmen through the treasurer. So they go to Sherry and then Sherry passes. them
So
on to-
can we say department budgets due to treasurer?
Sure.
Just so everybody's clear where it needs to
Where it
go.
needs to go.
So Sherry, again, when you go to send your notice out on this, I'd like to talk to you about what we put in that notice. About those
Absolutely,
budgets,
because
and
yes,
when they need to be reviewed, and then when they need to be finally submitted to you.
that's something that I'm gonna see about tomorrow to kind of tie that down. And I personally would like to get it in before that date. Because, to get it in,
Everyone-
we can, just
Everyone we can.
probably before Christmas or just after Christmas. And then, gives a week or two for Catherine to meet with people if that's, what you're going to do. Or you want to meet with them before they come to me.
Before,
Okay,
that's why I wanted to talk with you about what goes out and the information they're providing for the timing.
Okay, any other, I think that's a great suggestion. I think it makes
That's
sense
just
to
so
add
that the departments know that they have a deadline. to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing happens if without a deadline. Any
Yep.
other comments on the budget calendar? Okay, now my question is, do we need to amend the motion because we're editing this document?
One thing about the budget calendar is that, other than the fact that we have to kind of bounce around Region 19 because they drive a lot of that train, because we try to not do multiple referendums, et cetera. This is really a very fluid document. Like, we've had to amend it in the past because something happened, whether it was, and a lot of it also is driven by the state. Because the state drags their feet on their budget, and then we all sit there and go, we don't know how much money we're gonna get, so we don't know what to do. But if you want an amended motion, I made the motion, right? So I'll make an amendment to the motion that we added the calendar to add the date that the budgets are due to the treasurer.
Okay. You don't look happy now.
Could you just make it a little clearer what you want? For the motion?
And the motion to
Okay.
include the addition of the January 12th date.
Okay.
It's just easier.
Okay, All those in favor? Aye.
I,
All those opposed? Any abstentions? No. Great, moving on. Okay, discuss the process for filling the vacancies, the full seat and the alternate. So we do have an open seat on the Board of Finance, and per the rules, we have to fill that with a special meeting, which is going to happen immediately after this regular meeting. We also have a vacancy with the alternates. So our board has 3 alternates. We have currently Tim Rhodes, Hugh McKenzie, and then the alternate spot that I occupied is now vacant. So that needs to be filled. So that's, again, we're going to address that in the special meeting to refer that back to the Board of Selectmen to schedule a special town meeting, because that is the rule. Now, just to make everybody aware, there was a 21-day deadline for filling that alternate vacancy, which Sherry Much did communicate to this board that looks like it was missed. There is no penalty for missing that deadline, so we just have to proceed and do our best. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of all the moving pieces on the vacancies. Does that make sense? Any questions or
Excuse
comments
me,
about that?
could
Yes.
you give me the last name of Tim?
Yes, Tim Rhodes, R-H-O.
RHODES, yes.
There you go.
So he is an alternate,
He is.
and Mackenzie is an alternate, but he's not here,
He's not here.
and we need to fill your, okay,
Correct.
all right.
Yep. Okay, I think we can move on. Oh, so this is, I guess, kind of a communication that came in. Discuss having a tri-board meeting between Board of Finance, Education, and Selectmen on the budget. So this was a request that came from Jane Urban on the Board of Education, actually went to Catherine, then it came to me to bring to the conversation here tonight. My feeling on it is that it's gonna be really difficult to try to schedule something between now and the end of the year. And in talking to Jane, what she really is looking for is just feedback on what they want, what we want as a board in terms of a presentation. So what do people think? Do you guys feel that we need a tri-board meeting, or can we just deliver some direction based on last year's experience? What are we looking for?
I think you're right, it's gonna be very difficult to schedule a meeting with all 3 boards involved, or even in part, just based on time of year and everything.
Christine, could I make comment?
Sure.
We did this last year. Myself, the chairman, I believe vice chairman of the Board of Ed, and Judy and John Kopek met. They weren't official board meetings. It was a meeting just, the intent of it was to try to coordinate and address some questions that whoever might have could address in an informal manner. We did it at a convenient time. I thought it was a positive meeting. I thought everybody walked out of there feeling at least it was something that hadn't been done prior, and that was helpful. I would suggest, instead of considering convening a meeting of all of the boards together, which would be nice, but I think time is too short, perhaps the chairman of the Board of Finance and another designee, and whoever the Board of Ed would like their chairman, and who else, perhaps, I believe the superintendent sat in on that meeting that I referred to, and the first selectman, I think would be a good idea, and something that is not too cumbersome to try to do that at a convenient time for everybody.
So my only concern with that is that I think that would be a violation of open meeting laws. That once you start to have officials having a meeting without a proper notice, without all the board members being invited, And I understand that, you know, it was done in good faith and people just want to collaborate. I get that, but I'm very sensitive to the fact that when public officials get together, it needs to be in an official, open meeting, in my
You
opinion.
might want to consult with the council on that, because I did, and there were no objections to that.
Do you have something in writing about that?
That I'm not sure of, Christine. I could go back and look. I believe it's just a verbal verification. It was basically a coordination meeting prior to the budget kicking in a full go. But I know I did run it by council.
As far as the board members are concerned, I mean, what do we really feel that we need to communicate to the Board of Ed in terms of their budget presentation? To me, I think last year it went very well. I think they gave us the information that we needed. I think there was feedback that they didn't do a PowerPoint and we wanted one. I can't quite remember. Does anyone remember what that was?
Trying to look it up.
So, yes, that was the discussion with the small group, was more of a, it wasn't any information that was about what was involved in the information, it was the format and what we'd like to see. And I think I remember you saying that you had an issue with it last year, and that's why Bill said we talked to council. But that's where we got the meeting from. Everybody just said what format they were comfortable with us in the school.
Right, but can't we just communicate to them what format we want?
Yeah.
And we don't need a meeting to do that.
It's here to work with people.
I don't have a problem with the department heads or the board heads sitting down and discussing what kind of material they would like the Board of Education to present to the Board of Finance. I mean,
I think it was a misnomer to be called a tri-board meeting, because even when I heard about it, I went, we've never done that.
right, you just wanna.
It's not really that.
Right, it's really just a discussion about what we would like to see based on the feedback from last year, which I can't find at this point, but I do recall that. It wasn't as, so we've gone from one extreme to the other. The previous Board of Ed, whatever you wanna call it, displays, for lack of a better term, were enormously long and very, almost like a fluff piece. Yeah, right, and then we had 2 years of very, slim presentations, and I think we need something in the middle. So where it discusses, you know, things like why, just for, I guess, for me and for the public who's listening to the meeting or may listen later, why they want X amount of money for this, or why they feel they need to do that or whatever, but I don't need a 3 or 36-minute PowerPoint display showing pictures of the kids running around the playground. I need the numbers and the facts. And that's how what we do to make decisions. And again, I mean, if you want to just communicate that, but if you want to go up and meet with Cindy and Jane and Catherine and sit down at a desk and say, this is the feedback that my board has given me, I don't think that does a problem. You're not making any decisions, you're just discussing what the 2 or 3 board want to see in the presentation. It's almost no different than me as the department head going into Catherine's office and saying, I need to discuss this. Or going to a board of select, or the board of select meeting.
Yeah, there was no decisions.
Yeah, you're not making any, you're not saying you can't, we're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. You're just saying this is what you'd like to see it, but that's entirely up to you.
Well, I think I would like to have the town attorney, if we don't have it in writing, then I would like to hear directly from the town attorney that it is appropriate to have
I'll
that kind of
verify
meeting.
them. I'll be glad to.
Great. Okay, I think we can move on from that, unless there's any other comments about that.
Trying to find the meeting minutes from that meeting, because I know we talked about.
Yeah, we got.
We did add an item to the agenda on the request of the first selectman, discussion of appointing a member of the Board of Finance to the Capital Improvement Committee. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So, any volunteers? Judy, you did this last year, right?
Correct.
Are you interested in doing it again?
I can barely make this meeting on time, that's why I stepped down. I drive from Cheshire to here.
Oh, my goodness, no.
Historically, Catherine hasn't been the chairman.
Yes, on the chin.
No, the chairman of the committee of the Board of Finance hasn't historically been. The chairman and representative.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. We
I
had-
know we did it.
I did it, you know, when I was, but, and Chuck did it when he was.
And I did.
But it doesn't have to be. It should be someone who can represent.
Well, I can
that.
tell you, it can't be me because I'm already on the committee.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna say. Just don't do it for both.
Do I get two hands?
I'm willing to do it. I just wanted to give people an opportunity if they were very excited about being on the committee.
Thank you for
No excitement, huh?
bringing them
So
up.
do we need
I move that
Yeah.
we appoint Christina Davis as the representative to the Capital Improvements Committee for the Board of Finance.
I second that.
all those in favor? Aye.
Judy seconded it.
Judy,
Thank you.
seconded it.
Speak up.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I've gotten 2 new titles tonight. Okay. Now, moving on to number 8, agenda items for the next meeting. I think we're gonna have to talk about the audit. So I would say that's probably gonna be on the agenda. And I think that we're probably gonna be talking about the annual report again.
That's always up.
And if we're looking at January 11. And where is that in relation? So we'll meet the day before the departmental budgets are due. So hopefully we'll get a sense from Sherry how things are coming in at that point. So maybe we can add that to the agenda, just check in on budget submittal. Any other items to consider? Okay, I'm sure things are gonna come up. Because
We should start looking at the procedures early this year too.
yeah, can you explain that to me, Judy? Because I know you brought that up in the past and I'm not 100% clear on what that is.
So the financial procedures and the procedures that we do our business here by. One of them in particular had dates and stuff that
Yeah.
change every year. And last year, we didn't get to the point of changing those or accepting those, and they were put into the budget. The dates were incorrect.
The
So
budget policy.
who owns that document of
We-
policies?
We have to.
What is the
Well-
title of the document? Just financial procedures?
Financial management policy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the budget policy.
But who, is there someone in the town office who put that in the budget document that, it's like, who do I email to get that document, is what I'm trying to get
I
at.
don't even get the document though.
It belongs to you.
Okay, but I don't have it, so. Do I email you, Judy?
You will in a minute.
I was gonna say, if I have a copy of what I did, I'll send it to you.
Oh, so you have it, Paul?
Yes, I have the previous. I don't know which year it was, but I'll send you.
Is it the financial management policy?
Yes.
Do you want a
Well, you
copy?
have
I've got it right here. I just give it to her.
If Paul's gonna send it to me electronically, that's
Okay.
just as good, thank you.
Updated.
So we can put that on an upcoming agenda and we'll review it and we'll update it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Christina,
for bringing that up, Judy, I forgot about that.
I did, because I remember it not being done.
Did somebody else say something?
yes, I did, Christina. For Valerie, Tracy, her last name is Chase, and it's Chase.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any other agenda items for the next meeting? Okay. Remarks for the good of the board? I don't really have too much to say other than thanks everybody for your cooperation. I know it's been a really weird transition. With the turnover on the board, it made things awkward, but I think we navigated it well, and I'm looking forward to a smooth and professional budget process. Thank you. Before I accept a motion for adjournment, I just want to go over the process we have to go through in order to make this next meeting work in our recording. So, and Angie, this applies to you. So in order to have a separate recording for our special meeting, everybody's gonna need to leave anybody who's on the Zoom is gonna have to leave the Zoom, give it a beat, and then click that same link and come back in, and that'll create a new recording for the special meeting. Does that make sense? I don't want to lose anybody in the transition, so. Bill, does that make sense? Sherry? Yeah, okay. With that being said, would anybody like a motion to adjourn this regular meeting?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
No, that was good.
What was that?
Paul made the motion. Angie, do you want to second it?
Second.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of adjourning the regular meeting, aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, so the regular meeting is adjourned. I'm going to leave the Zoom and we'll come back.